Today we're diving into a really powerful idea, how the absolute worst moments in our lives, the challenges that just crush us, can actually become the source of our greatest strengths. We're going to follow a story that goes from rock bottom all the way to a completely new way of thinking about what it means to succeed.
Man, have you ever felt like this? It's that feeling, isn't it, when a crisis just hits you out of nowhere and you feel totally, completely powerless? You're just being tossed around by stuff that's way bigger than you are. You feel small, you feel fragile, and that is exactly where our story kicks off.
Okay, so let's get into it. Meet Adil. Now, Adil is a guy who did everything right. He meticulously built his life on the solid foundation of a stable job. But that entire world he built, it's about to get shattered by one single unexpected event.
And there it is. Just a couple of sentences. So cold, so impersonal. Can you imagine reading that? The source material says the words grew heavier with each passing second. This isn't just losing a job. This is the ground literally disappearing from under your feet. It's that sudden, terrifying fall into an abyss of, what now? And this is where it gets really brutal, because it's a chain reaction. First, the shock hits. Then comes the real-world panic. You know, the tiny bank balance, the bills that keep coming. But then it gets worse. Your social safety net just vanishes. Friends say things that don't help. Colleagues stop answering your calls. What's so devastating here is that it's not just a financial crisis. It's this profound, crushing feeling of being completely and utterly alone.
So, in the middle of all this despair, you'd think Adil would just stay down. I mean, who wouldn't? But he doesn't. He decides he has to do something. He borrows some money, and with this little spark of determination, he starts his first business. And this, right here, is what we can call his first necessary failure.
So, how did it all fall apart? Well, it wasn't just one thing. It was this cascade of problems. Bad financial planning? Yep. Underestimated costs? For sure. Then the supply chain got messy, shipments were late, he had to raise his prices, and poof, the sales just dried up. The final result? He lost all his savings, and now he was in even more debt. It was a complete disaster.
And this is the turning point. As Adil is sitting there, at his absolute lowest, he remembers these words from an old man he once met. And this one idea changes everything. It reframes failure. It's not a final judgment. It's a lesson. It shifts his whole perspective from, look what happened to me, to, okay, so what am I going to do now?
So with this new idea in his head, his whole approach just flips. He stops seeing that failure as a period at the end of a sentence. He starts seeing it as a comma, just a pause before what comes next. He decides that if the world isn't going to give him a spot, then fine, he's going to carve one out for himself. You can literally see the change in his thinking here. He goes from blaming fate to actively creating his own opportunities. From just wanting stability to embracing the idea of learning. Instead of waiting around for a chance to come along, he decides he's going to make his own chance. He's no longer this guy who's crushed by failure. He's now someone who's strengthened by it. Now, while he's figuring all this out, he connects with a mentor, this Professor Salman, and the professor gives him the key strategy for his new mindset. You have to adapt. This idea becomes his guiding light. If one road closes, you find another one. The real secret here is to never, ever stop learning and to never stop evolving.
Okay, so you're probably thinking, great, here comes the success montage, right? But that's not how it works in real life. The journey after he made that pivot wasn't some overnight success. No, it was a long, brutal test of his endurance, both in his head and in his wallet. The real climb, it was just getting started.
And man, it was a fight. We're talking clients who were skeptical, who didn't want to trust a new guy. The clients he did get were slow to pay, which is just poison when your finances are already fragile. At one point, a huge client just disappears without paying him. And all the while, he's fighting this constant mental battle against his own doubt. His survival literally depended on him learning new skills and pushing into new markets.
You know, there's this line in the story that just perfectly sums up this whole period. It's about getting through those darkest, most hopeless moments. It's about having faith that if you just keep going, a new dawn has to come. It's really a testament to the incredible power of just refusing to give up, even when everything seems lost.
And all that fighting, all that persistence, it finally starts to pay off. In this last part of the story, we see how Adil takes his old wounds, his scars, and turns them into the very stairways he now uses to climb. And, what's more important, he starts helping other people make that same climb.
It's just such a powerful image of how far he's come. The person who was once broken, the person who was defined by his fear and his failure, has now found the courage to try again, to actually soar. The same storms that almost broke him are what taught him how to fly.
And all of this leads him to a totally new definition of success. It's not about the destination anymore. It's not about a dollar amount. Success is the road itself. It's the strength you find when you're in the valleys of failure and the character you build when you're climbing the peaks of perseverance. The journey is the reward. And in the end, he realizes his true purpose wasn't just about his own gain. It was about using everything he learned the hard way to mentor other people. He starts these training programs for young entrepreneurs, helping them find their footing. He's literally turning his old stumbling blocks into stepping stones for them. His success became about lifting others up.
And that leaves us with this final, really powerful question. It's a challenge, right? It's asking us to completely reframe how we look at our own struggles, to stop seeing them as walls that are trapping us and start seeing them as stairways that can lift us higher. We are all going to face hardships. That's a guarantee. The only real question is, are you willing to climb?